Have you ever held your smartphone and truly felt the impossible power cradled in your palm? We talk about the cloud, AI, and algorithms as if they are magical forces. But what if I told you that our entire digital civilization, every text message, every life-saving medical discovery, and every dream of the future rests on a piece of technology so small it defies imagination, an invention whose predicted death has been a headline for decades, yet somehow it refuses to die? Today, we're not just telling a story about technology, we're telling the story of humanity's relentless ambition, a journey to the very edge of the atom, to understand the reinvention of the one law that has defined our modern world. For over 20 years, the headlines have been a drumbeat of doom. Moore's law is dead. Pundits, analysts, and even some engineers have declared the end of an era. They said we had finally hit the wall. They said we could no longer shrink the tiny switches that power our world. They said the golden age of exponential growth in computing was over. But here's a little secret from the hallowed halls of Stanford and the gleaming labs across Silicon Valley. They were wrong. The spirit of Moore's law, the relentless drive to invent, to innovate, and to make things impossibly better, is burning brighter than ever. It has evolved from a simple prediction into a multi-generational quest, a mission to command matter at its most fundamental level. The law hasn't died. It has been reborn in ways its creator could have never imagined. Let's talk about the unsung hero of this entire saga, the transistor. It's a word we hear, but what is it? Imagine a light switch, but one so minuscule that billions can fit on your fingernail. This isn't just a switch for light. It's a switch for thought. It controls the flow of electricity, which represents the ones and zeros, the yeses and nos, that form the language of every computer. Every time you tap your phone screen, billions of these switches flip at unimaginable speeds, orchestrating a silent symphony of logic that makes your digital life possible. The transistor is the brick from which our modern civilization is built. Without it, there are no smartphones, no life-saving MRI machines, no global financial markets, no GPS to guide us home, and no AI to help us solve humanity's greatest challenges. It is the quiet, unseen cornerstone of our world, a testament to our primal urge to take the chaotic forces of nature and bend them to our will, to compute, to create, and to connect. Over half a century ago, a brilliant engineer named Gordon Moore made a simple observation. He noticed that the number of transistors we could cram onto a chip of silicon was doubling roughly every 2 years. This wasn't a law of physics. It was an observation of human ingenuity. But it became something more. It became a self-fulfilling prophecy, a heartbeat for the entire technology industry. For 50 years, engineers, scientists, and visionaries organized their ambitions around this rhythm. Next year, we will be twice as powerful, they said. This steady, predictable, exponential growth fueled everything. It's the reason the supercomputer that filled a room in the 1970s is now laughably outperformed by the watch on your wrist. Moore's law wasn't just about making things smaller. It was about making the impossible possible on a reliable 2-year schedule. It was the engine of the digital age. Today, the game has changed. The race is no longer just about who can build the next trendy gadget. The real battle, the one being fought in secret labs by the titans of our age, NVIDIA, Google, Apple, Amazon, is for absolute dominance in chip design. Why? Because they understand a fundamental truth. To control the chip is to control the future. We're in an era where artificial intelligence is the new electricity. The companies with the most powerful, most efficient, most specialized chips for AI will lead the world. NVIDIA's rise to $1 trillion valuation wasn't built on selling video games. It was built on creating the silicon brains, the GPUs that train and run the world's most advanced AI models. Google is designing its own tensor processing units to power its search and AI empire. Apple's custom M-series chips have revolutionized their computers, giving them a staggering advantage in performance and efficiency. This isn't a friendly competition. It's a strategic war for technological sovereignty. The winner won't just own the market, they'll own the platform on which the next century is built. To understand the stakes, we need to grasp the sheer scale of what we're talking about. NVIDIA's latest Blackwell GPU is a masterpiece of engineering, packing over 200 billion transistors into a single, complex package. It is a computational monster. Yet, the roadmaps for the coming years speak of platforms with not billions, but quadrillions of these tiny switches working in concert. This is the power that AI demands. An insatiable hunger for more data, more calculations, more intelligence. But here is the central conflict of our story. While the ambitions of AI are growing at a truly explosive, exponential rate, the silicon hardware is struggling to keep up. We are pushing the known laws of physics to their breaking point. This is where the real innovation, the real genius, comes into play. How do you continue a revolution when the ground you built it on is starting to crumble? You don't dig down. You build up, you build out, and you reinvent everything from the ground up. Think of building a futuristic city. You can't do it with just one idea. Progress in chipmaking happens in a similar, cascading fashion, across three distinct but interconnected layers. First, there's device physics. This is the most fundamental layer. It's about reinventing the brick itself. It's asking, can we make a better transistor? A faster one? A more efficient one? This is where scientists play with new materials and new structures at the atomic level. Second, there's circuit architecture. This is the blueprint of the city. Once you have your new and improved brick, how do you arrange billions of them in the most intelligent way possible? How do you design the highways for data and the power grids to be as efficient as possible? Finally, there's system optimization. This is the urban planning for your entire futuristic metropolis. How does this new chip city connect with other cities, like memory, and with the rest of the digital world? How do you write the software and operating systems to take full advantage of the new hardware? The rest of our story is about the breathtaking innovations happening at all three of these levels, starting at the very foundation. The humble, heroic transistor. While companies like TSMC, Samsung, and Intel are famous for being the grand foundries that manufacture virtually all of the world's advanced chips, there is another name, whispered with reverence in the halls of the tech elite: IMEC. Based in Belgium, IMEC is the silent architect, the quiet visionary of the semiconductor world. It isn't a manufacturer, it's a research consortium where the world's brightest minds come together to design the future. IMEC creates the roadmap that the entire industry follows. They are the ones charting humanity's course into the atomic frontier, with a detailed plan that extends all the way to 2039. They are already working on the technologies that will power the devices you'll be holding 15 years from now. They are the keepers of the flame, ensuring that the spirit of Moore's Law continues to light the way forward. For decades, transistors were flat, two-dimensional structures built on the surface of a silicon wafer. Engineers called this a planar design. But as they tried to shrink them further and further, they ran into a problem. The switches became leaky. They couldn't be turned off completely, wasting power and generating heat. Moore's Law was grinding to a halt. The solution was a stroke of genius. Instead of trying to shrink on a flat plane, engineers turned the transistor upright. They took the channel, the part the electricity flows through, and made it into a three-dimensionally fin that rises from the silicon. The gate, which controls the flow, could then wrap around this fin on three sides. This was the birth of the FinFET era. Imagine trying to control a flow of water in a flat, wide ditch versus a narrow, deep channel. The deep channel gives you far more control. FinFET did the same for electrons, dramatically improving performance and energy efficiency. It was the breakthrough that saved Moore's Law and powered the smartphone revolution. But even the mighty FinFET had its limits. As the fins got smaller, that old problem of leakage started to creep back in. So, engineers asked the next logical question. If controlling the channel from three sides is good, what if we could control it from all four sides? This is the dawn of our current era, the rise of the GAA transistor, which stands for gate-all-around. Instead of fins, the channels are now unimaginably small nanosheets, or nanowires, stacked on top of each other. The gate material then wraps completely around each sheet. To use a simple analogy, if a FinFET is like gripping a brick on 3 of its sides, a GAA transistor is like clenching your fist completely around a tiny rope. This near-perfect control means we can build chips that are cooler, faster, and more power efficient than ever before. This is the technology that is just now entering our most advanced devices, powering the next wave of AI and mobile computing. For over 60 years, every chip was built the same way. The transistors were on the bottom, and the intricate web of wiring for power and data was layered on top of them. But as we packed in more and more transistors, this created a traffic jam from hell. The power lines and the data lines were all competing for space, creating resistance, slowing things down, and wasting energy. The solution is so elegant, it's almost poetic. Flip the whole design upside down. A revolutionary new architecture called backside power delivery does exactly that. The power lines are now routed underneath the silicon wafer, delivering power directly to the transistors from below. This frees up the entire top side, the front side, to be used exclusively for high-speed data communication. Think of it like designing a city. For decades, we ran our power cables, water pipes, and data lines on the same crowded streets that the cars used. Backside power delivery is the equivalent of building a completely separate, hyper-efficient subway system underground just for utilities. It clears the congestion on the surface, allowing information to travel at breathtaking speeds. This is a game changer for scalability and efficiency. We are now approaching the ultimate physical limit. Chips are being designed on a scale of 1 to 2 nanometers. To put that in perspective, a single human hair is about 100,000 nanometers wide. A silicon atom is about 0.2 nanometers. We are getting to a point where a transistor is only a few dozen atoms across. At this scale, the weird, probabilistic rules of quantum mechanics take over. Electrons start tunneling through barriers they shouldn't be able to cross. The old methods of simply shrinking are collapsing. So, what comes next? We go vertical. The next great breakthrough is the CFET, or complementary FET. This brilliant design involves stacking different types of transistors directly on top of one another. It's the ultimate in 3D construction, like building a duplex where 2 families can live in the same footprint of land. This allows for an unprecedented density of logic, bringing computation and memory closer together than ever before, and smashing through the barriers we thought were impenetrable. For over 70 years, one element has reigned supreme: silicon. It is the bedrock of the entire digital world. But silicon, for all its glory, is reaching its material limits. The future, many believe, belongs to a new class of wonder materials: 2-dimensional materials. Imagine a material so thin it consists of a single layer of atoms. Materials like molybdenum disulfide, MOS2, and tungsten disulfide, WS2, are like atomic-scale sheets of paper. They promise to be far more energy efficient and faster than silicon. If silicon was the brick of the 20th century, these 2D materials are like sheets of impossibly strong, atomically thin graphene. The challenge is immense. These materials are fragile and incredibly difficult to manufacture at scale. But if engineers can master them, they will unlock a new golden age of computing. How do you even build structures that are only a few atoms wide? You can't use conventional tools. You have to use the most fundamental force of all: light. The process of etching these impossibly small patterns onto silicon wafers is called lithography. For years, we used deep ultraviolet light. But to go smaller, we needed a shorter wavelength of light. Enter the modern miracle of engineering: the EUV, or Extreme Ultraviolet Lithography Machine, built by a single company in the Netherlands, ASML. These are the most complex machines humanity has ever created. An ASML EUV system is the size of a bus, costs over $200 million, and works by blasting a tiny droplet of tin with a powerful laser 50,000 times a second to create a plasma that emits the precise wavelength of light needed. This light is then bounced off the world's most perfect mirrors, made by Zeiss, to etch features onto chips with atomic precision. The next generation, called High-NA EUV, will push this precision even further. opening the door for the next decade of chip innovation. The future is a convergence of all these threads. The next evolution, known as hyper-EUV, will provide the light source precise enough to manufacture the next generation of transistors, which will be built not from silicon, but entirely from those amazing 2D materials we talked about. This is the technological symphony at its peak, the perfect fusion of revolutionary circuit architecture, like CFETs, groundbreaking material science, 2D materials, and the absolute pinnacle of manufacturing technology, EUV light. It is a testament to our ability to orchestrate progress across multiple, incredibly complex fields at once. And there are other candidates waiting in the wings to claim silicon's throne. Among the most promising are carbon nanotubes. Imagine taking a sheet of graphene, a one-atom-thick sheet of carbon, and rolling it into a perfect tiny tube. These nanotubes have incredible electrical properties and promise to create chips that are orders of magnitude faster and more efficient than anything we have today. They aren't without their challenges. They can be prone to current leakage and are notoriously difficult to work with. But this has led to a fascinating new idea: hybrid architectures. The future may not be about one material replacing another, but about layering them. Imagine a chip with a foundation of silicon for some tasks, a layer of carbon nanotubes for high-speed logic, and another layer of new materials for memory. This concept, sometimes called CMOS 2.0, is about using the best material for the job, creating a truly three-dimensional, multi-talented chip. There has always been a frustrating bottleneck in computing. Our processors, the brains of the chip, have become phenomenally fast, but they often have to sit idle, waiting for data to be fetched from memory, the short-term storage of the chip. This is the dreaded memory wall. It's like having the world's fastest chef who is constantly held up because his assistant is moving in slow motion. The new architectures we've discussed are finally poised to tear down that wall. By stacking transistors vertically with CFETs and bringing different functions closer together, we can dramatically shorten the distance between logic and memory. We can build superhighways for data that allow the processor and memory to communicate almost instantaneously. Dissolving this bottleneck will unlock a new level of performance, making our devices feel not just faster, but truly instantaneous. Every new generation of chips is exponentially harder and more expensive to design and build. A state-of-the-art fabrication plant, or fab, now costs upwards of $20 billion to construct. That's more than a modern aircraft carrier. This staggering cost means only a handful of companies on Earth, primarily TSMC, Samsung, and Intel, can afford to compete at the cutting edge. This intense, high-stakes competition is a double-edged sword. On one hand, it keeps innovation alive, as each company pushes the others to be better. On the other hand, it raises the costs for everyone. The price of this relentless progress is passed down to consumers and investors, and it concentrates immense geopolitical power in the hands of a few key players and nations. The global economy now depends on this delicate, expensive, and fiercely competitive dance. Our modern semiconductor ecosystem is held up by a few colossal pillars. Think of them as the four titans of the digital age. There is TSMC in Taiwan, the world's master manufacturer, who builds the chips for almost everyone else. There is ASML in the Netherlands, the sole creator of the indispensable EUV machines that make modern chips possible. There is Applied Materials in the US, the genius of materials engineering, who figures out how to deposit and remove atomic layers with perfect precision. And of course, there is IMEC in Belgium, the visionary architect designing the roadmap for the future. These companies, along with a few others, form the global backbone of progress. Their collaboration and competition are what drive humanity deeper into the quantum frontier, enabling every technological leap we see. So, is Moore's law dead? No, it has simply been reborn. The old definition, the simple doubling of transistors through shrinking, has given way to something far more profound. Moore's law is no longer just about making things smaller. It's about making them smarter. It's about clever new architectures like GAA and CFETs. It's about revolutionary new designs like backside power delivery. It's about exotic new materials like MOS2 and carbon nanotubes. And it's about the sheer imagination of hundreds of thousands of the world's brightest people who simply refuse to accept that there is a limit. The law has evolved from a simple observation into a powerful statement of human potential. We now stand at a profound intersection of technology and destiny. This relentless march of progress, from the first clumsy transistor to the coming age of angstrom-scale chips, has paved a new kind of global highway. Not a Silk Road of spices and textiles, but a quantum Silk Road of data and intelligence. Computing is becoming like oxygen, omnipresent, essential, and invisible. It's moving from massive AI data centers to the tiny, hyper-efficient chips that will be woven into our clothes, integrated into our bodies, and seamlessly blended into the fabric of life itself. We are not just building faster computers, we are building a new reality. By 2039, as IMEX roadmap predicts, we will be mass-producing chips with features measured in angstroms, the scale of a single atom. We will almost certainly have moved beyond silicon to new materials that unlock capabilities we can only dream of today. The journey has been one of the greatest scientific adventures in human history. And yet, through all this complexity, one simple truth endures. Progress never stops. The transistor, our smallest major invention, remains the greatest symbol of our ambition. It is a monument to our refusal to accept the world as it is, and our unending quest to build the world as we imagine it could be. The story of the chip is the story of us. It teaches us that our most significant limitations are often the ones we place on ourselves. When faced with a wall, we have a choice. We can accept it as the end of the road, or we can see it as an invitation to learn how to fly. For over half a century, against all odds, we have consistently chosen to fly. The next time you hold your phone, take a moment to appreciate the universe of human ingenuity resting in your hand. It's a reminder that with enough creativity, collaboration, and courage, there are no limits to what we can achieve. So, here is my question to you. As this technology becomes woven into the very fabric of our lives, what responsibility do we have to guide its future? What kind of world do we want to build with this incredible power? Let me know your thoughts in the comments below. Thank you for joining me on this incredible journey to the atomic edge. I wish you all the very best of health and happiness. And if you found this story as fascinating as I did, please consider liking this video and subscribing to the channel for more deep dives into the technology that is shaping our world. We'll see you in the next one.